What's a fan's favorite thing about watching MCU films? Is it watching epic team-ups of the Avengers taking on Thanos? Is it the badassery that our heroes portray? No! It's the Easter eggs, and the MCU is full of them. From the end credits to the little things hidden in the background, MCU fans love finding things that connect the films together, predict future films, or reference other franchises. But there are quite a few even I missed. A Killmonger, Master of Mystic Arts team-up? What? So today, we're gonna take a look back at all the MCU Easter eggs we missed. Let's get cracking, huh? Huh? Get it? In Avengers Endgame, a huge bombshell was dropped, and I bet you didn't even realize it. I know I didn't. In the scene where Steve nearly reunites with Peggy at Camp Lehigh, and tears are flowing from our eyes, Peggy mentions that Braddock hasn't checked in yet. For movie watchers, that's something that would go right over our heads, but comic book readers would likely relate this name to Brian Braddock, aka Captain Britain. During the comics in 1976, Braddock was badly injured in a motorcycle accident trying to escape mercenaries who were trying to kidnap him. Then the wizard Merlin, yes, that Merlin, and his daughter Roma offer him the chance to live by becoming Britain's defender. All he has to do is choose the correct item between the Amulet of Right and the Sword of Might. Choosing the amulet, Captain Britain is born. Now, being in the 1970s, it's likely that Agent Carter is talking about Brian's father, James Braddock, who was sent to Earth by Merlin. But knowing Marvel, who does nothing by accident, this little name drop could lead to a 2023 introduction to Brian Braddock taking up the mantle of Captain Britain. Sometime in the near future, we are set to see Wanda and Vision reunite in the Disney Plus show WandaVision. But the question we're all asking is, how will Vision return? Last we saw him, he had the Mind Stone ripped out from his head. Well, one Easter egg all the way back in Captain America: The First Avenger might answer this question. At the 1943 Stark Expo, for a brief second we see the appearance of the Human Torch. No, not that one. Wait, is that Chris Evans too? But Jim Hammond, an android superhero which dates back to 1939's Marvel Comics #1. Now, a lot of fans know about this Easter egg, but I'm not sure how many know this Easter egg ties into Vision. Let me rephrase, that is Vision. You see, in the 1970s, Jim Hammond's mind was wiped, and his body was upgraded to be repurposed to become Vision. So, is this a possibility of how Vision could come back? Well, they would need to restore Vision's mind, but when they do, they're going to need a body to host it in. If they can recover Human Torch's body, then this may be the way to do it, and we'll see Vision's true origin story told in the MCU. What a twist! I've been wondering, if Killmonger's plan to introduce Wakanda to the world actually worked, who are these allies he's mentioned? We may have been given a clue right in Black Panther. Killmonger mentions that he has allies in Hong Kong, New York, and London ready to take up arms and take action. Do those locations ring any bells? If we go back to Doctor Strange, these cities contain a Sanctum Sanctorum, or the basis for the Masters of the Mystic Arts. Killmonger was a smart man and had ears to the ground all over the world, so I don't think he'd be stupid enough to hit these cities knowing the mystic heroes are there ready to fight back. So is it possible that the Masters of the Mystic Arts were his allies? Again, Marvel drops little hints and clues all over their films, so mentioning these cities can be a coincidence. While they wouldn't need Wakandan weapons, the Masters would be the perfect backup for anyone who would try to stand up to Killmonger, like Doctor Strange. Could you imagine the fights we see as reality bends around the rivaling factions of the Mystic Arts? It'd be civil war all over again, but through a kaleidoscope. Captain America's long been touted the first Avenger. I mean, it's right in the title of his movie. However, fans of the MCU would say otherwise, and with this little Easter egg, we all have the proof that we need, that it's not Cap but Thor. Found by Reddit user KieferXJ. In Thor, as Mjolnir sits wedged in the ground waiting for someone worthy to claim its power, around the hammer is the well-known Avengers A we've grown to love over the years. It's insane that MCU fans miss this, as most would say the first time we saw the A was at the end of the Avengers above Stark Tower. It makes sense it was in Thor though. Thor, Loki, and Asgard history with the Tesseract all play into the lore of Captain America and Red Skull finding the Tesseract. Eventually, this leads to S.H.I.E.L.D. finding it, wanting to use its power for weapons, and Thanos sending Loki to retrieve it and destroy New York in the process. In reality, Thor is the catalyst that brings the Avengers together and kickstarts this epic adventure, and we were all too focused on Hawkeye's debut to see it. For shame. Attention webheads, you're gonna love this Easter egg. In Spider-Man Homecoming, we weren't introduced to just Spider-Man, but another eventual web-slinger as well, Silk. In the comics, we know Silk as Cindy Moon, the second person to be bitten by the same radioactive spider that bit Peter. both taking place within minutes of each other. Guess what? That's her. Cindy Moon, decathlon athlete and seen to get on the bus when Thanos attacked in Avengers Infinity War. While we don't know if she's been bitten in the MCU, it's very likely at some point she will be when we see her suit up herself, maybe sooner than we think. If she does have powers, and with Spidey's identity now out in the world, maybe she'll reach out to Peter, asking for help or training so she can become a hero as well. Or with the rumor that Marvel's about to open up the Spider-Verse and bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, maybe we will see one of those universes' Cindy Moon, who has already donned the name Silk. Whatever the case may be, Marvel, if you're listening, give us more web slingers, please and thank you. One of my favorite parts of the MCU has been seeing Tony's growth as Iron Man, but even more as an individual. From playboy philanthropist to the hero who snapped away Thanos, it's been a sight to see, and Tony began to pass his knowledge to the next generation of heroes. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter messes up, and he messes up bad. A ship is in two, lives were nearly lost, and Tony was left to clean up the mess. Due to Peter's action, Tony takes away Peter's suit. Peter cries that
"This is all I have, I'm nothing without this suit."
And Tony responds,
"If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it."
I wonder where he got that idea from, huh? If you're an avid MCU watcher like me, then you probably recognize that this was a callback to the Avengers when Cap poses Tony with the exact same question.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Then Tony was just a billionaire with an advanced suit. But he becomes something more when Tony wanted Peter to become something more too. By the end, Peter becomes less of a Spider Kid and more of a Spider-Man. Guess that advice paid off, Tony. Good job. With Disney's deal with Fox gone through, we're all waiting for the day the X-Men join the MCU on the big screen, and it looks like Kevin Feige has been laying down the groundwork for that since the MCU start. In Iron Man, Tony takes his Mark II suit on a bit of a test run and asks Jarvis the altitude record for the SR-71 Blackbird jet. Now, this jet does exist in real life, so no harm done, but what fans probably miss, with this was a little nod to the X-Men. The Blackbird jet is the same jet which models the X-Men's X-Jet, which is also called the Blackbird at times. Now, I know Marvel couldn't come flat out and say they were referring to the X-Men, but with Kevin loving to lay the groundwork for future characters to debut at some point, there's no way the MCU wasn't thinking about acquiring the X-Men someday. Here's the Easter egg to prove it. So Charles, just know when you make your way over to the MCU, your jet will be ready for you to hit the skies. MCU fans were big and mad when they realized that the Mandarin wasn't actually the Mandarin. It was Aldrich Killian who was taken out of the MCU as fast as he came into it. However, the MCU one-shot All Hail the King, we learned the true Mandarin and his cult, the Ten Rings, were out there and they are active. Fans wouldn't likely have noticed this, but in Ant-Man, one of the thugs Ant-Man gracefully knocked out donned the Ten Rings insignia on his neck. This not only proves that the Ten Rings are out in the world, but they're preparing to make their move on the hunt for more dangerous and powerful weapons, like the Yellow Jacket suit. Maybe we'll see their reappearance in Phase 5. The title of the future MCU film Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings makes it look as much. Also, with the world being rebuilt after Thanos' attack, and the Avengers in a state of rebuilding following the loss of Iron Man, Cap, and Natasha, now would be the time to strike. We'll have to wait and see if the Mandarin will make an appearance, but like Trevor Slattery says,
"You'll never see me coming."
Guess what? Beta Ray Bill is finally making his way into the MCU. Many fans know that he does exist after catching his face donned in the Grandmaster's Tower from Thor Ragnarok. What many fans may have missed is that the MCU has taken another step closer to fully introducing him. This Easter egg comes from the Avengers Endgame script, where we're introduced to the 2014 Nebula fighting on an unknown planet. The planet she's fighting on is described as the Corbinite homeworld, aka Beta Ray Bill's species. Although he does not make an appearance himself, it has been confirmed by Endgame director Joe Russo that the MCU is looking for a way to introduce Beta Ray to the big screen, but aren't exactly sure where it would be best to do so. This is the second time reference has been made to Beta Ray Bill, so hopefully the third time will be the charm. Maybe we'll get our chance in the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder, where Jane Foster's story of becoming Thor is rumored to be told. If Beta Ray appears, she's gonna have some competition to go through. This Easter egg almost took a year for MCU fans to find. Let's flash back to Avengers Endgame. The Avengers are getting ready to make their move to time travel, knowing the risks the mission holds. However, the one thing they make clear to each other, whatever it takes, and their fists come together. Many fans thought nothing more of this scene than it being a moment shared amongst the remaining Avengers, but it meant so much more after Tony met his fate. Back in 2008, Tony received his original arc reactor as a gift from Pepper, engraved with the words "Proof that Tony Stark has a heart." Confirmed by Marvel Studios themselves, The scene of the remaining Avengers' hands coming together was shot to resemble the red lines on the arc reactor that surround the center. The Avengers are proof that Tony has a heart. They allowed him to change, and he even sacrificed his life with his family to save the entire universe from Thanos' snap. He sacrificed his life so everyone would have the chance to live the life he no longer could. The Avengers and his family are the legacy Tony lives behind. I'm not crying, you're crying. I've got allergies, guys, come on. Although now I feel like the ultimate MCU nerd knowing all of these Easter eggs. I'm sure there are even more I didn't know. And that's where you come in. Yes, you! Do you know any of the MCU Easter eggs we all missed? Share them down below and then like and subscribe for more MCU videos from us here at CBR.